You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
There was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
This is The Tribe, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Hit record.
Come on,
So-
Sam, hit record.
I know we
are
like
recording.
leaving out some good content already and stuff, so we want to make sure the fans are included on some of this. But so I wanted to answer your question on while we're recording and stuff. The what if pieces I think is happening is we're getting a dark parallel version of X-Men that's kind of unfolding. And I'm gonna be honest, I think the what if question we're getting is what if Magneto runs is the leader of the X-Men, and what's all this stuff that's kind of unfolding and happening, the fake Jean Greys, just it's Storm losing her power. Like, we're getting bad thing after bad thing after bad thing, and it's almost kind of like the dark X-Men scenario that's happening and stuff. So that's the what if piece that I think we're going to get some kind of weird twisted reveal, coming through. Like, I'm going to be honest. I know we're going to kind of go through episode 3 and episode 4, but I don't think the Lifedeath, because it's called Motendo and Lifedeath. Lifedeath is the Storm and the Forge storyline. I don't think that's real. I think that is inside of Storm's head. I don't think any of that is real. And then I also think the Cable, baby Nathan and stuff getting taken back to there's some stuff. I have some theories I'll talk about at the end. But anyway, hey, so welcome to the Tribe. We were kind of mid-sentence as we were kind of discussing things, and then Sam.
Why are we doing this on air?
Yeah. So she kind of rallied us like, hey, hit record so we don't lose any good conversations and stuff here. But I wanted to finish my thought before we kind of got the show started. We're starting this weirdly because we're not having the intro. We're just going to kind of jump right into it. We got 2 episodes to catch you guys up on, and so we're going to do this. I'm the Blurred Hulk. I'm joined by my amazing co-host. I got Louis, Mr. Luniversal, Mr. Lou Kingpin, Mr. Lou Knight of everything. Yeah, Mr. Lou X-Men. You name it. I'll find some more Lou references and for future episodes and stuff. How you doing, Lou?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. I'm stoked to be talking X-Men 97. It's been a fun ride so far.
Right on. And then the one and the only, she makes us, it's in our contracts to call her the podcast princess. We have no choice. It's just what it is. If we don't do it, some big men are going to come to our house and just do some bad things to us. So we have Sam, aka the podcast princess, the one and the only. How are you doing this amazing Friday?
I am good. I'm actually excited to talk this with you guys because my perspective on the show is a bit different than your guys's.
Ooh.
It's a little bit slower of a burn for me. I'm not as excited about it. And I don't know if it's because it's an animated series. I don't know if it's because I'm having a hard time following like the canon events that as you were talking about. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think because it's a little bit slower of a burn for me this go around.
Could it be a little bit that it might not inform the actual MCU? It could be a standalone thing, and
it very much so could be that. And I like consistency, and I like things to tie together. And I don't things that stand alone. They kind of make my brain go, Like, I want to know how everything fits together.
Okay, all right.
So
I can respect that. I see where you're coming from. Don't mean I agree with you, but
that's okay. We don't have to agree. We very rarely do, but that's what makes our show magic.
We definitely have to agree. What are you talking about? What?
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, so
some people.
Wait, you do realize we have Lou here who literally never agrees with anybody on anything ever. He just disagrees for the sake of disagreeing.
In our group chats, I come off like Eminem. I just start dissing shit to this shit.
He does. Lou throws. We dub it the Lou grenade. He'll throw a grenade and just watch the chaos kind of melt down and stuff. And so it's kind of an interesting thing. It's what was that movie with Ed Norton and Brad Pitt?
Fight Club.
Yeah, Fight Club. Yeah, Lou is his own Brad Pitt. He just wants to watch shit burn down and he will throw grenades.
I mean, he's got some Deadpool vibes sometimes, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, but
a bit of a mercenary.
So let's get into it. I know we got 2 episodes, but I'm gonna assume, for the sake of assuming, that you guys out there actually watched these episodes. Otherwise, why are you here? So we don't have to do the recap, but we can definitely talk about the episodes and some of the pieces that we saw, what we think about it. You guys good with doing that instead of the play-by-play?
Absolutely.
Okay. So episode 3 is called Fire Made Flesh. This is kind of the nightmare episode where we get introduced to Mr. Sinister, and we get introduced to the fake or the real Jean Grey. We know one of them is one, and dude, I gotta say, I feel for Cyclops kinda in this scenario. I mean, he has 2 identical twins, and they're clones of each other. I mean, first of all, let me just put this out there. Is this considered cheating? Is this relationship like, if he's, I mean, is this cheating? Like,
no, I mean, well, technically, I don't know. It's so hard. I mean,
well, hold on. Let's.
When he's unaware, no. But
I mean,
he's aware now.
He's aware now, so now, yes.
You're almost going to ask yourself, how does Sinister know the inner details of Jean Grey? Like, so is she really not that special? Because she's just, I mean, let's put it in our real life situation. If I was sleeping with another version of my wife, I think I'd realize it was my wife.
But would you?
No, because I mean, well, here's the thing: is like
up until you said that, maybe not.
Well, here's the
thing: like,
yeah, and imagine, like, okay, so your partner, everybody goes through seasons, right? Where sometimes your mood's a little different, your energy's off. You know, you may have a little bit of depression going on, anxiety. You feel distant, withdrawn. I mean, things are different. People's energy can be different throughout different stages of life. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's just assuming her energy's a little different right now.
And plus, there's a pregnancy, so that changes all kinds of things.
Hormones, moody.
So here's my take on it. Like, I think I'm gonna have to be like Jack Tripper, Three's Company. Like, we're just gonna have to all make this work out. Like, it's literally the same. It's the same thing. So I'd say, hey, we just move to a place where what we have going on is perfectly okay and acceptable. I think there's a place, Utah. Is that the place where that works out? But yeah. So anyway, I just had to ask that question because we got this was definitely soap opera kind of love triangle thing happening with the big reveal. Like, oh, you know, we've seen this before. Oh, you killed my sister come back from the dead. It's really your brother. It's
don't make it a bigger deal than it needs to be. I know where you're going with this. Let it go.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, Jean shows up, or we don't know if this is the real Jean Grey, but until later and stuff shows up, passes out, which is also indicative that it is the real Jean Grey, because she always passes out after she uses her powers. where the fake one never did. As far as we've seen, she used Cebro and it just, she had her little nightmare thing and stuff, but she never did the whole faint thing. So yeah. So anyway, we know that the one who shows up at the door is the real Jean Grey. We do know that Cyclops is confused, which hurts the fake Jean Grey's feelings. And that's another indication that also that's not the real Jean Grey anyway, because the real Jean Grey is a very genius, logical person. She would absolutely consider herself to be a villain, and consider the possibility that she could be not herself and be the fake clone. So the one who is pleading with Scott and the X-Men that I am the real one, remember all the battles, remember all this, that was just another telltale giveaway that she was the fake Jean Grey in this scenario here.
So question, we talked about it last episode. Is Sinister strong enough then to make such a good clone that even Logan didn't sense it?
I know.
I mean, even the clone doesn't realize she's a clone.
Yeah, if I didn't know about Logan's he has a mutant level. It's beyond just a sense of smell. Like, he literally can smell your DNA. Like, he can track you anywhere on the planet. I think I'm gonna have to suspend the fact that this is just a canon error, because there's no way Logan shouldn't be able to detect that this is a fake carbon copy of a gene. I remember talking about that. I have an idea. All right,
do we think that, and it doesn't add up because Professor X has obviously passed away at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think that maybe Logan has not reached his full Wolverine's potential and has not been able to establish that, where that sense is there, but he hasn't trained it so much to really, he's still battling the yes and no's with it, and where he's not quite matured with that skill yet?
Okay. My only pushback, I actually like where you're coming from, but my only pushback is he's older than them all. I mean, he's older than Professor X.
But they're really, I mean, I haven't went back and watched the original animated ones in some time, but they're really making him seem very, where he's like on the same mindset like Gambit and everybody else, where he's not, I don't want to say
he's still learning how to play well with the others.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that has not been honed in yet.
That's possible. I mean, the Logan that we got in the movie Logan, where Professor X dies, is way more advanced, way more sharpened skill set, way more than the Wolverine Logan we're seeing right now. So you're right. There is some skill advancements that do happen that comes from being a part of the X-Men over time and everything else. I think I should never have brought that up. It just kind of, it was, I thought they were going to answer it and they didn't answer it.
It's something like we want a resolution to, and with not getting it, it's something that kind of like is going to be disappointing at this point.
Well, and it's something they can't fix
because it's a flaw. It's a flaw.
In that episode, you see him and Jean Grey have that moment where she's like, you've had all these feelings for me. So like, they've kind of sealed the deal that no, he didn't realize that there was a clone and that wasn't the real her.
Yeah. God, Wolverine's such a simp too. God, he's opining over someone else's girl, but that's him.
But you have to have that though, because I mean, right now you got everybody going 100 on this show. You got to have somebody that's your soft spot. Because I mean, Gambit's going hard but soft. I mean, Gambit so far is still my favorite in the series. I really like. There's just something about his move, his groove, and how he is in the show that I really enjoy out of all of them.
Gambit's feelings are super justified about what's going on with Rogue and Magneto. I mean, we've all. I mean, when you got that smooth guy who's that villain, the bad boy who's coming in, and you see your girl, but it's not. It's almost like you're in the state of paranoia. It's like, is she feeling him? Like, wait, what? There's a his. Like, what? But he's also trying to check his manhood. And like, well, I'm not gonna be insecure and just like question her and like say I'm gonna trust her, but damn, I'm kind of crying inside. What the hell happened? Like he's going really through that range. Go ahead.
They're doing like an actual, other than that piece we're talking about. Mm-hmm. They have done such a great job at doing character development during this series, like more so than other shows that we've seen recently. Like you're even able, like you see that like Madeline Pryor is like this. She's a demon possessed, essentially. Jean Grey, like that's how he is. But you're still able to sympathize with her, like this new mother who is alone, essentially, and trying to figure things out. Like they did a great job of making sure that you realize she's not the big bad, even though she's got these big bad qualities.
Yeah, she was drawn that way, as Jessica Rabbit says.
So I do have one challenge with this episode. I'm going to throw it out to you guys since you guys probably break it down. Mm-hmm. So obviously the ending of it, Baby goes with Bishop and say, hey, I only have enough juice for me and Henry, right? It's Henry, right? Nathan. And since he's going back to where his time, right?
Yep.
Why is it that very much like Endgame, he can't go back? Nathan gets what he needs. If he can get what he needs, bloops back within a few minutes because now he's back in his zone where his wristlets are probably at every local pawn shop because it's now that era, and bloop right back. For me, that caused a very big question. Like, wait a minute, if Beast can fix it now in this time zone, and you obviously, like I said, they're like eye watches in their time. Why can't he just bloop back now? And I thought that would have been really cool, especially if he blooped back and Nathan was older, because hey, it took some time, but he's not. I mean, obviously, we know the journey he goes down, but for me, I felt like that was a little bit of a window of, well, why doesn't he just bloop back now? Because the fact that it's been some time. Or you have those tools available.
I'll take a gander at this, and I could be wrong, but I think they're setting events that is reasons why these hunters even come back at certain timelines and stuff and certain time points. He probably knows because he lives in the future and he grows up there. There's a right setting event for him to come back into time, because under the things about the time travelers, they know that at any moment in time they can disrupt things. So they have to be very careful about where and how and what events that they do travel. Now, with that said, I also think there's a thing called you have to kind of play to your audience a little bit. And I'm going to give you an example of that. Okay. And it may not be the same, but this is just my opinion. So in Doctor Strange, and I'm going to use Loki and Doctor Strange as key examples here. In Doctor Strange, when he did the whole time warp with Dormammu, and he kept going, blinking back and forth again, so much so that they just have to make it one of those, we call those scenes that they kind of just keep showing clips and stuff for, because he just kept dying and going again and again and again, right? We don't really want to see that play out all the time, where it's like, okay, now in Loki, they literally could do what you're describing. If they, track down Sylvie, they know where she is and stuff. Why don't they just like go back a few seconds and then boom, they throw her off or set traps that way? Like they know, like they can just instantly, they have the capabilities to mess with the timeline like that. Obviously, it doesn't make for a good show to do things that way and to even think in that. I hear what you're saying, Lou. I just think I want to go with the premise that the time travelers have certain setting events and opportunities that they want to set for them to go back in time. because the possibilities is, yeah, they can do that. Literally, the baby's gone. Half a second later, it's back a full adult, ready. Like, hey,
so
mom,
I'm
dad,
wondering. I was actually had the same question, and I was doing a little bit of research on some of the boards online, and a lot of people seemed to think that it was a way to tie in different iterations of the comic books. So like the Clan Ascani mythology with the, what's it called? X-Men Messiah something series. So like they were saying that that they were using that with Bishop to tie in different iterations of the comics. And that we're going to see that unfold some more as the series continues.
And to be honest, why Cable stayed in the future and grew up there is not a fully fleshed out story anyway. Like there's pieces of that and stuff that is, you know, in the comic books and stuff. But it's not fleshed out like in the animated or even in anything that we've seen in the X-Men's or, you know, the Deadpool series or anything like that. So it could be the fact that maybe he had no choice but to stay in the future. Whatever that cure was, it kept him there. He couldn't exist back in the past until it was fully gone. Or someone just like with Star-Lord, they adopted, like they took, like, he's going to be one of us. We're going to raise him as our own. This is his new home. Everything else, he has a much better chance of survival, making it and doing good big things here in you know, in this timeline and stuff, versus being a threat or whatever back in his old timeline. And then maybe he didn't want to. I mean, as far as he grew up knowing that his parents abandoned him, he may not be ready to want to jump back in time and go see mom and dad. He has trauma he has to deal with and everything else.
We have to keep in mind, too, this is a 30-minute episode, and they just took an entire crossover series and streamlined it into one 30-minute episode for us. So there's still going to be questions that need to be answered.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They need to give us a little bit to feed off of. So
the bad parts that I didn't like about episode 3 is it has everything to do with Madeline Pryor. That they didn't. I get it's like Sam said, it's a 30-minute episode, but she really quickly picked up, you know, the Goblin Queen's name and Madeline Pryor just out of a hat. Like I really wish they would have. I don't even care if it was a newspaper of a beauty queen in Wisconsin and her name was Madeline Pryor. There's a connected reference as to why she chose that name. Or the Goblin Queen. Those names just came out of nowhere. It's like, hey, yeah, oh, boom, yeah, this name fits me. This is who I am. And so I know it's something to be nitpicky over and stuff, and I shouldn't be that way. But I do like a little bit of where I can be like, yeah. There's, you know, she was big into this, or one of her favorite books was written by Madeline Pryor, and so she took on that persona, you know, that name, or as a story, or, you know, the Goblin Queen. She read the Labyrinth, to the kid, and you know, the king, the Goblin Queen, was her favorite character. So she's now the something. It could have been done like in seconds to kind of make those references. So I didn't like that part. That's the only thing I didn't like. Oh, you're on mute.
You're muted, bro.
Damn. That was a good question too. No, I'm just kidding. Overall score of the first episode. What do you think?
Scoring that episode, because I actually called it. I'm gonna say that was a solid. God, I love all the episodes, but if I have to rank them, that's probably a solid 8.5 for me.
I'd go with a 7. 7.
For me, I'm right about an 8 overall. But outside of like the story itself, it's still like, again, I can't stop saying I'm a 10 for this animated series.
For me, the action scenes are like,
they're
what's
really
keeping me in it.
Nostalgia of it.
The like telepathic battle for me, that was my favorite part.
the one thing I really don't like on the creative side, though, I need Stan Lee to come back from the dead with his hair clippers and hang out with Magneto, because Magneto right now, please, how much longer can we go? Can we get him back in his suit? Because he just looked odd.
No, this is
He's
comic book.
the Patrick Duffy look right now. This is his 90s.
comic book. This is comic book accurate for that crossover.
Yeah,
he's a soap opera. He's a soap opera zaddy, is what they call him and stuff. He's rocking his. This is his golden. Yeah, the refined golden years age from.
Yeah, start working it back out of there. I mean, I can't stand it.
It does have a little bit of old Greg vibes, if you know who old Greg is.
So, look, hey, Rogue's falling for it.
Out of a boot.
He's a refined,
Yeah. I think that's what makes it even more odd is Rogue's falling for it. It looks like Rogue's falling for like Gandalf. And it's like, what's going on here, man?
Gandalf was younger looking. I'm sure Gandalf was pretty handsome with his.
I'm sure if he was younger looking, but I mean, right now it's very odd. I mean, he got Rogue falling for him, but young fit Gambit's like, what about my feelings? Like, what the hell? Like, I mean, I feel you, man. I feel you.
Listen, ladies love sophistication.
They do. He gives off that kind of James Bond kind of.
He's got the zaddy vibes, as David said. He's got.
I didn't really say that. I'm gonna say Sam said that. I'm gonna deny it. But yeah, he's rocking certain vibes.
Go back to 2346, and you can hear David call him Zaddy.
All I'm saying is like he got that Patrick Duffy, that kind of that James Bond kind of he's a man of mystery, and and he's a bad guy. Women love bad guys, and that's that trope that he's kind of filling out there. So it is what it is. So I know you don't like
I get it. Louis, you can borrow my brain for a minute and you'll understand it too.
And I don't understand it. I'm missing it. It's going right over my head.
So anyway,
No
let's move on to y'all ready to move on to the next episode?
Yes.
So this for me, this was a fun episode. This is episode 4 called Motendo and Lifedeath. So it's kind of broken up into 2 storylines. We got Jubilee and her 18th birthday. And then we got kind of a Storm and Forge kind of a story there. So it kicks off with, Jubilee, 18th birthday. They're trying to figure out what they want to do for her and all the surprises and stuff. And, they're all gathered in the kitchen and stuff. And, and you see Wolverine, Jubilee is like his kid sister. And so, there's muffins and stuff and everything else. He was super happy to show her all the variety of difference of her favorite muffins and stuff like that. And they asked her what she wanted to do. And she just wanted to go to arcade. She really misses the old days and stuff. And that's actually telling too, because that's when, Professor X was around. That's when things weren't so complicated and, there was no, Magneto was the actual villain, there was no, pregnant, there was no family baby with Cyclops and Jean Grey, like the good old days and stuff where Jubilee was the kind of the new girl. We saw things through her eyes. So she kind of longed for those days. So she wanted to just go back in time and live in that arcade and have some fun. And I love the part where she mimics Magneto, even though we didn't hear what he said, but we knew exactly when she was breaking it down. That's exactly what he said. I felt a little offended because I felt Magneto. I had the kind of dad brain going on there. I was like, why are you mocking your parent? And I was like, wait, he's not our parent. I was like, all right, Dave, you need to kind of back up with this cartoon and stuff. But yeah, she's in the room with her and Sunspot, and there's this video game that just kind of appeared called Motendo, which instantly I knew, like, oh, we get Mojo back. So the Motendo does what it does, which it looks like a 1993 Sega Genesis 16-bit console. For those who know, and it ended up, coming to life and sucking them into the video game, where we got some really, I guess you would say, throwback visuals of some of the old games and stuff, that the side-scrolling games that we used to play back in the day. There are some nods to some actual video games. There's like some X-Men actual video games that were on Sega that they actually referenced, changed a little bit of the graphics and everything else. It was kind of cool. What did you guys think so far about that storyline?
Are we just going with the Motendo part or the Lifedeath?
The Motendo part. Yeah, let's start with
the Motendo. Okay, so the Motendo part. To begin, like, I love the way that they kind of broke this episode into 2 mini episodes. So we'll get into that, but it reminded me of like Saturday morning cartoons and how they were like smaller segments like that. But I thought it was cute. I don't feel like it did much to inform the story. It was kind of a nostalgia thing, but I liked it.
Okay.
Lou, what do you think?
That was a complete waste of space. I like the way it looked visually, but I like that they tried to like sneak in some like nods to what we know. But I don't like the new character. Obviously, he's not new, but I don't like the Jubilee's little wingman. He's annoying. He drives me nuts. I don't like him at all.
Oh, Sunspot?
No, Sunspot. That's no. I think it's absolute. Like, come on, let him evolve. I mean, do something with that character already, because it's getting on my nerves. Like, he's just sitting there taking up space.
I agree. And honestly, Sunspot was one of the people, or it was one of the characters that I was like looking forward to seeing like developed. So when we talked about that beforehand, I was like, I want to see Sunspot, but I want to see more character development. Yeah, honestly, this entire episode, both segments, I felt like did very little. Like they rushed through things and didn't give us very much character development in this episode. Yeah. Whereas episode 3, there was so much character development.
I'm not a fan of that character. He reminds me of, I know we're on a Mortal Kombat show, but the Mortal Kombat movie, that new character they added, he reminds me of that, where it's like he's playing a big role, but the role is dismissible. Mm-hmm. I will disagree, though. I know we haven't talked about it yet, but the second half of the episode, I enjoyed, because they're slowly giving us what we talked about last episode, but they're going too damn slow with it. If I'm being honest,
you think really they're going? No. There's supposed to be so much more introspection. There's supposed to be so much more like. Okay, well, when we get into it, I'll go more into it. But
I really thought that.
I think Forge needs to calm the hell down a little bit, and they're rushing that whole like, how do we get from point A to now I'm in love?
Really? What about 50 Shades of X-Men at the end of the last?
It's a 30-minute cartoon, remember?
Okay, but I mean, obviously they left it on a cliffhanger. Yeah. But but as far as this storyline was supposed to go, in my opinion, I would have wanted to see more building up to that with Forge and Storm, rather than it just. I feel like it went like, that's so funny. It's so funny that you are like, come on, let's get on with it. And I'm like, no, I want to see more. I want to see how we got from point A to point B. See, I think that, I don't know, that also may be another like female, male perspective type of thing. Like,
I think for certain things it works, but I think for like, they're playing off that nostalgia. It'll go back to when you were like 12 watching this. Do you want to see them taking the time, or would you rather than just jump right into it, all the mushy gushy stuff, and they're a thing? And I
don't want to see them jump into it. I want to see the story unfold.
I'm not speaking for Sam, but I think she wants the Princess Bride treatment. She wants the Wesley and Princess Buttercup, like the As You Wish and the abuse and the back and forth to build into something, like, and make it a slow burn.
Exactly. Give me a little bit more drama, the telenovela-esque storyline.
So I think so. If I'm being honest, I would rather not see it at all, whether it's working or not. Leave it alone, because right now we got Gambit and Rogue, Cyclops and all his wives. I mean, there's all this just it's like Jesus, man. Like, I mean, can we stop with? Then you end last episode with the 50 Shades of X-Men. Like, stop it. Can we just get back to the action. This isn't the Notebook. For me.
But that's the thing is like there's so much drama actually in the X-Men narratives.
There is.
Like and the show, the original show had those dramatic effects and they were done really well. It was like a soap opera kind of.
The show's being true to the X-Men roots. So, but yeah,
I'll give you that. But
I love the all Cyclops' wives. I love that line.
I don't know. I vaguely remember the originals, and yes, that was part of it. But we're spending whole episodes on it. We've seen one good battle besides the Dante's Inferno piece of it. We've seen one good battle in 4 episodes now.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember it. Yes, they had the lovey-dovey stuff like that, but it was like you had that really offset with the fighting part of it. I mean, shit, we've spent all of 30 seconds in the war room. The war room was like every other episode, and now not that war room, the danger room, right? What it's called. Mm-hmm. We've seen it for 30 seconds. If that heck, last episode we just saw them exiting it, not even in it. Come on, I think, yes, it is playing to it, but it's also missing a piece that we haven't seen yet. And I think they're drawing it out like a regular season show where we're working it up. It's like, no, the cool thing of the animated feature is you had cliffhangers, but you also had stories that started and ended in the episode. It was a buffet line of all good things television. And I think this episode kind of took it off course for me.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this. So let me close out the Jubilee thing too. I like the fact that we got to see the older version of Jubilee, Abscissa, who is her powers are more honed, and we saw a new feature for those powers, which are pretty freaking dope. Is the kinetic little blades and stuff that she has with her fireworks. I thought that was dope. I liked it. I want to see the fact that Jubilee is this adult 18-year-old to be able to utilize, maybe because now she saw her older version, utilize that power base and stuff. She's now going to get it and make her even more sick and badass as a character in the X-Men versus just the firework kinetic energy pieces and stuff. So I did like that part. That was kind of cool to see. Also, just another note. The older version of Abscissa Jubilee is actually voiced by the OG Jubilee voice actor Allison Court. So that was cool. They found and Al, it wasn't like they cut Allison out of it. She actually gave it up because she wanted someone to be more culturally appropriate to be a voice actor for the young Jubilee. So that was really cool. As a nod to her, she played the older version, the OG Jubilee. And so that was cool. So, and the young one's played by Holly Chow. So, but I love that part, that introduce of that new power base. I could have done, for me, it was a filler episode. It just really was. I think they wanted to get more Sunspot and Jubilee kind of little thing going on because there's that romance too. Making out. I know, Lou. I know. Should I mention that or should I just skip over it? But I had to. It was a part of it. They end up making out at the end and stuff, and all that good stuff. But I liked it. I got to see Spyro and Mojo coming back. Reclaiming their roles as villains and stuff. And so it was kind of cool, but it was a time filler. It didn't really move the overall storyline forward. It would have done better if Sunspot came out and something was revealing about him through this little chaos and stuff, but it wasn't. This was really a Jubilee thing and stuff, and we know about Jubilee because she's been a part of it for several seasons and stuff. The Life-Death piece, Storm and Forge, I mentioned before we got started, I had a little different take on what's going on there. I think a good portion of what we just saw was not real. So hear me out. Now, we all know that Forge, his powers, he can develop and build anything that he can conceptualize. In fact, the weapon that took her power is a weapon that he built. So he worked with the U.S. military, and he built the dampening power bracelets that goes around your necks, the collars, and he built that weapon that ended up eventually taking all of her mutant powers. Now, I think at the point where she walks into that chamber, it's no longer real. Like all the stuff afterwards, the I love you stuff, which happens after and stuff, all that stuff is in is in Storm's head. She's manifesting all of it. She's manifesting the romance. She's manifesting the demon owl, which calls himself the adversary. Like she's fighting her own demons and stuff. And so she doesn't have the power base. So I think that machine is helping her find the true rogue, and none of that stuff that we saw in the second part of that episode was real. It was all she's still in that machine that Forge built. So there's my take on that.
See, this is why I wanted to get your guys' perspective, because my brain was trying to wrap around that. So I like that. This is for me where I'm like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. And things not being canon and falling into place for me. Yeah. It's a real struggle, but that makes sense. So I like it. I hope that's where they're going.
She's riding the horse and she falls off the cliffs and then magically appears back into the house. Like, I literally think she's in that machine still. And he really, because here's the thing, his power literally is he can create anything that he can conceptualize, right? Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really make mistakes. So if that machine is to give her power back, and we saw that it failed, the first time we as the audience get to see him create something, it's a dismal failure and she doesn't get her power back? Nah. I think that machine works how it's supposed to work, and she's supposed to battle and unlock her own mutant genes inside of this nightmare that she's in that little chamber console. So
it's an environment it's a controlled environment. He's controlling it, but it's still a controlled environment where basically she's learning to unlock her powers, as you said, without being in harm for the real world.
So I do think the demon owl did attach itself to Forge. There's some pieces of that in the comics and stuff. He had to sacrifice mutants and stuff to it. And so there's a weird storyline in regards to that. But I think all of that is just, and there's other like clues. Like when they first go horseback riding and she's looking at the wind and how it's always blowing a certain way, and the owl that she sees is flying against the grain, which is unusual and stuff. The bird magically manifests itself as the adversary. Like so pieces, like her time with Forge, pieces of the environment around, all that stuff is like nightmare fuel for her trying to figure out and get her power back. I'm sticking with that. I really do think that was not a real episode fully.
You know what? I like that. That. And then with that too, the rush without the build up, like I'm talking about. Actually, I feel better.
Love you. Yeah, the I love you part.
I feel better about that then. Yeah.
That was awkward. Yeah.
It was. But I feel better if the scenario you're providing is the case, if she's in the machine.
But it's also on brand for Storm too, because when Storm got kidnapped by that guy, like in a previous season, she got kidnapped by a guy to help save his planet because it was being tormented by the weather and stuff. Anybody that shows her affection, she kind of falls in love with. The guy asked her to marry him, the king, after she helped save his planet and stuff, and she's like, "Yeah, it's like she's longing for love." So.
Storm, you need self-love, girl.
So that I love you was not him. That was her manifesting that. So that, which was part of her dream state. She wanted him to say I love you. So all right, I just
wild.
Put that out there.
Wild. Storm really does need some self-love though.
She does. It's hard.
Listen, it's a trauma response. It's a trauma response. We don't need to get into that. Louis.
And go ahead. I was going to say, and that notebooky kind of like all of the creations I could have, you as the guys I could have met, whatever that was very notebooky. That was like Ryan talking to what's his name. Like, it was like, I'm like, okay.
What's Ryan talking to what's his name? I don't know if that's the right note, but did you download the wrong movie?
What's the guy's, wasn't it, what's the actor?
It's Noah. Right, you're talking about Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, thank you.
To Rachel McAdams.
You said Ryan talking to what's his face, and I was like,
"What's her face?" Whatever.
Brokeback Mountain, not the Notebook.
Brokeback Mountain.
But it was very on brand for something that she would conjure up versus something a guy would actually say and stuff. I mean, yeah.
I'm all on board for it, but at the same time, if they're going to do that. There is a small piece saying that they are doing that because the fact that this episode is Motendo Part 1. If I'm not mistaken, it's Part 1.
No, it was Lifedeath Part 1.
Lifedeath Part 1. It was Motendo.
The next episode, I think the next episode is called Lifedeath Part 2.
Yeah, so I mean, they might be going that route, but you should have used the whole episode. The Motendo piece was that really brought this show away from me outside of being just nostalgia. It was boring. Make it shorter.
They could have given us that as like a bonus episode after the series because and given us a full 30 minutes where they had other characters come into the game, you know?
That would be cool.
That would have been cool, actually.
Really fold that up because for me, it looked like one of those episodes in the live action ones that you're like, they saved some money by not bringing the rest of the actors on set. That's what that beginning looked like. They just saved money. Like, we're sitting around with you two this episode.
I mean, if they were going to do it as a fan, it was done as a fan favorite, like a fan favor. Mm-hmm. But I think they could have done that as like a bonus episode and brought in more X-Men into the game.
Yeah, it was definitely fan service to 90s babies, like who had Segas and Nintendos and everything else, and just like, hey, here, yeah, it was. It didn't move the storyline forward, so. And I know that all stories in the X-Men series can be independent of each other. You know, they wrap up.
But I don't like it. My brain doesn't work that way.
I agree. I don't disagree with you guys. Your take. It really, if we got the whole the life death thing, it would probably made for a better full-fledged 30-minute episode than this. Like, there's no only piece in that Motendo episode I liked was the older version of Jubilee, the Vista, and her new power and showing off her new powers and how, what that looked like and stuff. That's it. That's all I can say. Sunspot, I still didn't change my feelings about him one way or the other. I really wish, because I was excited for it. I really was like, ooh, new character development. Here's an opportunity. I think it was wasted because they didn't use him. They didn't show off anything. Like, he really was being led around by Jubilee the whole time and stuff. And so it was just a waste of opportunity. So, all right, y'all want to rate this episode?
I'm down to rate it, and I got a fun activity for us to make some fun for the whole crew.
I was going to go a 5, but I will give it a 6 now that I hear David's perspective or possibility, because I mean, if they're going that route, I'm more interested in that, but I want to see it first.
Marvel, don't let me down. I'm gonna go with 6 too, only because, and I'm not saying it's a waste of time. I mean, the first part of it, the Nintendo, I enjoyed some of the fan service, but it didn't move the story like I wanted it to. I think they just kind of missed opportunity to develop a character. 6.
Okay.
I gave it a 6 as well.
Fist bump.
No, not fist bump. You podcast princess.
God.
Only reason why it's a 6 and not a little bit higher, because there's a chance that I could be wrong about life, death, and all that really did happen. I'm hoping I'm not wrong and Marvel doesn't make a fool of me. If it is, if it happened the way I think it is, and I like those kind of episodes where I have to kind of think about it a little bit more and then make it make sense to myself in my head. and sometimes we're right. So that's where I'm at. It's a 6. Mid episode.
I'm gonna give it a 5 because I only like half of it, so half of 10 is a 5. So I'm gonna go 5. I really like your theory. If your theory, what you're saying, comes back true, next episode it will go to a 6. But I'm standing at a 5 because if you had flip flopped it, maybe kind of had it, not a flip flop thing, but like had it where it was jumping back and forth, Motendo story, Storm story, and kind of doing this number where it's like, all right, let's jump back in. Mm-hmm. I probably would, but giving me my entire appetizer of shit I don't like, and then trying to save the meal, nah, can't do it. I'm out. I left the restaurant. So for me, I'm gonna go a 5, but overall I'm stoked for the animated series. This, even though that's nothing to do with the MCU right now, is in top 3 of the Disney Plus Marvel series. Mm-hmm. Might even be fighting for number 1. Might be, but yeah, it's top 3 right now. This, I absolutely enjoy it.
Oh,
I hear that intro song and I get giddy as fuck. I'm like, let's go. But they do need to make the episodes a little longer. We're getting to that point where they're starting to cut back a few minutes here, a few minutes there. The only time when you cut back a little bit like that is on weight. Other than that, though, don't cut back on anything. And drugs. I guess if you cut back on drugs a little, that's a good thing too. But give us the entertainment.
I love it. Yeah. Overall, I agree. I think it's jockeying for one of the greatest Marvel content that came out on Disney Plus in a while. I still hold WandaVision up there because it was a pioneer of what it did, and I love that. But this is absolutely in my top 3, and it's only 4 episodes in, so it's yours to lose, Marvel. So far, I'm liking it. I think we got a mid episode, slightly better than mid. That's why I gave it a 6. And let's just see what comes out of it.
Have we got a rundown of how many episodes this season is?
I think there's 10.
Okay,
it's either 9 or 10.
Please be 10. I don't know why they would do stuff at 9. It just doesn't make any sense. Weird. I don't know why. 9, 7. That's so. I just can't stand that shit. Like, who decided that? Let's just do 7.
Budgets decide that.
Well, budget to where you could stretch out 10 episodes, or budget to do 8. Do an even number. It's just really all. You're like, oh, it's 7.
Yeah, there's 10 episodes.
Okay. But if I'm not mistaken, DisInsider posted that it's already been greenlit for a second season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, they're working negotiating the 3rd season. So, but second season is done. They're right now. We're doing the storyline for season 3 before the infamous firing. So, who knows what after is? But second season is ready. So it's in the can, from my understanding.
Nice.
All right, so let's. You said you have this mystery game.
A little fun activity. So, outside of the 50 Shades of X-Men, okay. So, comparison of X-Men, just those relationships do not matter right now. If you had to put us as hosts, the 16 of us as hosts, personalities that meet one of the X-Men that we have seen, you can double up because obviously numbers are different. Who's who, X-Men to Walt's apartment host. Relationships and gender are not on the table. So if it's just personality based, so Jubilee can be me, it's just personality based. Genders and relationships do not matter. That way no one's like, well, they're a couple, so that can't be them. Nope.
Irrelevant. Are we doing this right now?
Yeah. Off the top of your dome.
I can't.
Why?
Okay.
You either don't know your host that well, or you don't.
I don't know my X-Men characters well enough.
Come on.
That's what it is.
Just based on what we've seen, not based on what we know. What we've seen in 4 episodes.
Okay. But we've not even seen enough characters.
That's why I think we can double up.
You want to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll name off our hosts, and we'll just go rounds by rounds. All right.
All right. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Sean.
All right. Who do we see? Who do I see Sean as an X-Men character?
Yes. And personalities are only what we see in the show. And obviously, David, you and Sean have a very long...
I feel like we haven't seen enough yet to do this.
So if we haven't seen enough, I'm going to say Professor X because he's kind of gone in the background and stuff.
Yeah.
He's kind of the mysterious leader.
Yep. I agree.
Damn.
Louis, what would you say?
I feel like I should change my answer now.
Nah, see, I wanted you to go first anyway. What was your answer?
All right, I was going to go Gambit.
That would have been my second choice. Except for I'm making you Gambit, so.
Mon ami.
Lou, I'm making you Gambit.
I'm so curious on why now. But, all right. So we got 2 Professor X and a Gambit for Sean. All right. Going down the line. David, you get to pick you, and then me and Sam get to point you out.
Oh, I'm Beast. That's me all the way.
Okay. Sam?
I don't know.
You're fired.
I don't know. See, I don't feel like I know enough about the X-Men characters to or even the ones we've seen. I'm not invested in the characters the way that I'm invested in you guys. It doesn't.
All right, I'll go. I'm going Morph.
Why Morph?
Yeah, why Morph?
Because the name itself gives it away. You are moldable, and you mold yourself into every situation we have within the shows, whether it's talking about parks, movies, budgets, finances of the parks, the CEOs of the parks, everything Disney-wise, you come in, you're like, dude, I know exactly what I need to be for this conversation. Let's go. So I'm going Morph. Exactly.
Is that good or bad?
So far what we've seen in the show, he tends to be everywhere you need him, when you need him, and how you need him. So it's good. If it's coming off bad, it's meant to be good.
No, I'm just asking. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's because you're not for instance, me. I can't be nice on the shows. I critique everything. I can't morph into, yeah, that's a great idea. I can't do that. So for me, I go Morph. I don't disagree with your call on Beast, though. I mean, I see a very Beast-like mentality there, too, where that's not horrible. The thinking, the intelligence part, being educated on what you are doing and how you're doing it, I do not disagree with that. But for that same reason, I say Morph, because you morph into wherever you need that conversation. All right. Sam, you got anything? Well, good.
You're really going to not play the game?
I mean...
Then say a character.
Say what you said. I'm just kidding.
Say I'm Cyclops with multiple...
okay. I mean, I would probably go with Bishop for you then.
That's fine.
Oh, okay.
She only said a Bishop because he's the only black character there. So.
No, what? No. Bishop has a very domineering personality. You are strong and firm.
Dope.
You are strong and firm, and you stand your ground.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Sam's up to bat next.
Oh God.
Dave, the accent came out strong there. Oh God.
Sam's the Goblin Queen.
Oh, I knew that was coming. I'm the demon possessed one.
She has powers, but she doesn't want to claim her powers. She doesn't want to claim that she's a witch or anything like that. So she's the Goblin Queen. She's Madeline Pryor.
Honestly, that's who I would pick for myself as well.
Wow. I'm not far off the spectrum. I was gonna go Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Because you like to throw the whole, we're thinking alike, and the mindsets, and
the reason why I didn't say Jean Grey, only for the simple fact that
Louis and I have telepathy.
Jean Grey knows exactly her powers and who she is and everything else.
Sam underestimates herself.
Sam's a powder keg. She's more the Goblin Queen, Madeline Pryor. So
I mean, Sam knows her powers. Look at it. She's about to. Never mind. I can't talk about that.
She doesn't know the magnitude of her powers.
She's about to find out, though.
She knows she has some, and she knows that you piss her off. She's willing to let it shine, but she doesn't know the magnitude. Jean, however, does. So.
Yep, I don't disagree.
All right.
I don't disagree.
Joey.
Ooh.
Anybody that we've seen?
Anybody you've seen so far?
Even characters that Morph turned into?
Sure, if you've seen them, yeah. I mean, genders and relationships are irrelevant for this.
Shut up. Don't even say anything, Sam. Don't open your mouth. Because that's not at all.
My head. Get out of here.
I'm gonna go. God, Joey is.
I got mine. I'm going Jubilee.
Okay.
The retro, let's have fun. Let's not worry about the drama. Let's have a good time, especially the birthday episodes. I mean, the video games, the nostalgia. We've been here before. Really,
I was going to go Sunspot for very similar reasons.
The retroness, the let's keep it original, OG, let's just have a good time. Joey, for me, is Jubilee.
So
Again, it's based on personality, not gender, so the listeners don't shoot us if we're, for whatever you're thinking. Nope, it's just personality-wise.
I say Sunspot. However, Joey is far more important to us than Sunspot is to this show.
See, I didn't want to say Sunspot because I was just bashing Sunspot this episode. It's like, damn, Louis, that's what you think of me? Like, I'm going to be honest, nobody on my list is getting Sunspot. Nobody. For that simple reason that I just bashed the shit.
But you did just bash the shit out of Sunspot. But
yeah,
also, I really wanted Sunspot to be part of the series. So
I think I'm gonna go Gambit.
But also, Sunspot is super supportive, and so is Joey.
Yep.
So is Jubilee.
Yeah, Gambit.
I just didn't want to be the same as you.
Wears his heart a little bit on the sleeves and stuff, and he's an essential member of the cast and crew. And yeah, I'm gonna go Gambit.
All right, Courtney.